Hi guys, Kirk from Cabinet Creations. In this video, we're gonna talk about how to maximize a small kitchen. So when we think about small kitchens, I think and we're gonna do like a listicle here, so it'll be a 1 through 9, I think we have. But first and foremost, when we think about small kitchens, we start to say you gotta prioritize. You gotta make a list of, and you might wanna make a list before you even talk to a designer or a kitchen and bath company or a remodeler, but you need to make a list of what do I absolutely need from this kitchen? And what do I want from this kitchen? And once you make this list, the reality is probably not everything is going to stay on the list when it's all done. So small kitchens come with a set of realities, and I don't want to start this video by being negative, so don't take it as negative. It's just a reality that you might have 3 needs and 5 wants, and probably not going to get all 8 of them. 2, you have to use all of the vertical space in the kitchen. That's a huge way to maximize the kitchen. So if you have a small kitchen and you have soffits, and I know there's a cost associated with removing the soffits, but man, if you can get that last foot to the ceiling and you do it in a whole run of upper cabinets, you've actually added quite a bit of storage, quite a bit of functionality. I know it's an extra cost, but that is a way to maximize the storage space. 3, accessories. And I will not bore you with all the accessories available that can go inside of cabinetry because it is sort of obnoxious, the amount of accessories available to go inside of cabinetry. Don't even go and look, I promise. You'll go, wow, what is all of this stuff? But talking to a designer and saying, hey, I really am looking for, I'm trying to solve a problem for pots and pans. Well, there's lots of accessories available to solve for pots and pans. And talking to your designer about that is the best way to get it done. But there's certainly inserts for kitchen utensils. There's inserts for all sorts of things that you want to store. Talking to your designer about that, definitely something to be helpful. Again, much like removing the soffit, there's an expense to it, but it can absolutely make or break and sort of maximize the kitchen. 4, and for a lot of people trying to remodel, this one isn't going to be that fun, but your kitchen does not have to have an island. People are like, well, I have to have an island or this kitchen is not even good. And that's just not true. We do all sorts of kitchen remodeling that doesn't have an island. And here's a quick quick way to do math on an island. Anytime you start to think about having an island or adding an island, you got to think 24 inches for countertop and maybe even 25. You got to think a 36-inch walkway. Then you got to think about the island, and then you have to have another 36-inch walkway. And so that's quick math to sort of go like, can I fit an island somewhere? But in lieu of the island, something that we do all the time is a peninsula. And I know people are like, well, peninsula is this 1985 design from the track builder. It might be a 1985 design, but it is still very functional. It is still very useful today. So we do it all the time. We don't necessarily fit the island in, but we do modify the peninsula or add a peninsula, and it creates a lot more countertop, creates a seating area, and doesn't require nearly as much space as an island. 5, varied storage. And so what do we mean by varied storage? I just use this as the example all the time. People get enamored with opening a base cabinet and having rollouts. And they think that's the best use of that cabinet, and that's how you can get the most access to the cabinet. And the reality is that's not actually what you want in all of your kitchen. And so I just use the term varied storage, but there's a reason to have rollouts. There's a reason to have half-depth shelves. There's a reason to have full-depth shelves. There's a reason to have base cabinets with full-height doors, and there's a reason to have base cabinets with standard height doors with a drawer. And I could go on and on. And the point we would always make to people is having varied storage, so having a little bit of all of that, including some 3-drawer bases. But there's some people who want everything to be a 3-drawer base, and we don't get in the way. It's fine as long as the kitchen is large. But all 3-drawer bases in a small kitchen doesn't work. You don't want that. And so varying the storage is actually the best way to maximize a small kitchen space. 6, I like 6 this way better. So if you can have an island or you get a peninsula, something that often gets missed is actually taking that peninsula or that island and making it a little bit deeper. And so the standard cabinet depth for a base cabinet is about 24 inches. Sometimes, depending on the space, right? I know we're talking small kitchens, but sometimes you can actually add an opposing base cabinet. So you have a 24-inch base cabinet, and then you have a 12 or an 18-inch base cabinet backed up to it. It makes your island deeper. It makes the peninsula deeper, which also gives you more countertop space, but it also gives you more storage under the island. And so that's a thing we see all the time where we're like, hey, I think we can make this peninsula 12 inches deeper, 18 inches deeper, and sometimes 24. And we've done it many times. But that's a way to maximize space underneath that peninsula or that island countertop. 7, you might not get a trash pullout. We always try and put trash pullouts into every single kitchen we do, but in small kitchens, sometimes they don't make the cut. We never want to have an exposed trash can, but there's accessories that you can use to put it under the sink, but sometimes that real estate is just too precious. 8, sometimes you lose design elements, and that's just a reality. And when we say design elements, we mean like in smaller kitchens, we stay away from glass doors. We stay away from floating shelves. I know people love floating shelves. They love glass doors, and they're great aesthetically. They're not great for storage or maximization or maximizing utility of the kitchen. They're not great for that. And anybody on floating shelves, please, you can go leave a comment. I'm happy to explain why they're not nearly as useful, because they're not nearly as useful. And then 9. And I know this video is about, hey, maximizing your small kitchen. We also, and by the way, we'd prefer to not knock down walls and do the thing I'm about to tell you, but sometimes you just got to make it bigger. You go, man, I got a list of 3 things I absolutely need and these 5 desires, and really the 5 desires are 5 needs, and so I got 8 needs, and they don't fit in your small kitchen. Sometimes you got to make it bigger. It just is what it is. We're not miracle workers, and the space is the space. So sometimes you just go, yeah, it's got to be bigger. Anyhow, I hope this video was helpful, guys. Don't be afraid to reach out if you got any questions about remodeling, you need help with remodeling, you need cabinetry, we're happy to help. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.